Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer. Served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is that time again. Welcome into the Monday edition of Wisconsin Sports Daily as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up on today's show, got a star-studded lineup. Leading off, he's on hold waiting to get to him. Isaac Collins, the hero from yesterday's game for the Milwaukee Brewers. Mike Wall, former Packers offensive lineman, will join us coming up at 2:40. Talk about that Packer preseason game from over the weekend. John Heyman, MLB Network insider, will join us coming up at 3:20. But first, this dude.
Brewers have tied it up. Collins, fly ball, deep into right field. Isaac Collins, it is a walk-off home run. He's done it again. His first ever. And the Brewers have won their 9th straight game.
What an atmosphere that was at American Family Field. Brewers, as you heard, BA San FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin, 9 in a row. Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, is Isaac Collins, Brewers outfielder and rookie. Isaac, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
I got to know, man. What's that like, man? Because I'm never going to get to live that. My producer's never going to get to live what does that feel like? That adrenaline rush has got to be amazing.
Yeah, it really is an adrenaline rush. Like, words can't describe it. The crowd pop after the home run, it's in the moment, you aren't really thinking about it. You're just so flooded with all these different emotions. But it was amazing, and it was just such a good win for us yesterday. So for it to end like that, and, it was just awesome.
Going into this series, there was some talk about obviously how the season ended last year in the postseason to the Mets, and there was some talk on sports talk radio and amongst fans about how that whole thing ended. Was there any discussion about that at all coming into or during this series?
Honestly, no, not really. It was just another opponent, and I think that's why we've had so much success is that, it doesn't necessarily matter who we're playing. Baseball is one of those sports where anybody can win on any day. So it was just, all right, we got the Mets this weekend. Here's the plan of attack. Now let's execute. And that's how we've kind of gone about our business this year. And I think that's what's led to a lot of our success.
Talking with Isaac Collins, the hero from Sunday's game. Got himself in the hunt for Rookie of the Year. Follow him on Twitter at Isaac Collins10. And it has been an unbelievable year, obviously, for you. What were expectations? Did you have expectations coming into spring training and into this season? And have you exceeded those expectations?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I honestly did not have very many expectations. I came into the year just wanting to, help the team win any way I could and to just, be the best version of myself each day and, really hone in on what's within my control. That's my preparation. So, the, stats, accolades, whatever, I've always told myself, none of that stuff really matters until the season's over. And so it really was just, let's take this thing one day at a time. Let's be the best teammate, best version of myself I can be each day. And then, let all that stuff kind of play out. And, for me to be where I am right now, obviously that's amazing. And it's a big mountain to climb, but there's still 2 months left. And so it's just exciting that, there's more opportunities for me to continue to play.
I saw this stat, Isaac Collins. Across your last 20 games, you're hitting .387, .477 on base, .600 slugging, 9 extra base hit, 17 RBIs. They talk about in basketball all the time about how a dude goes off, for 50 points or 60 points. Man, I was in the zone. Does that apply for a baseball player when you're rolling like this?
Yeah, a little bit, honestly. The zone, that flow state, whatever you want to call it, it really is just, being present and just, taking the game one pitch at a time. And obviously when you have a lot of success, that confidence just continues to build, and that, the trust in your abilities there. And so it just, compounds, and then you end up going on these crazy streaks. So yeah, obviously I don't expect to stay hot like this for the entire year, but I'm going to, ride the wave as long as I can and just continue to do what I know works. And that's, my process, and just taking the game one pitch at a time.
Talking with Isaac Collins, Brewers outfielder in the running for Rookie of the Year. He joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Fan. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. How much do you guys talk about standings? Earlier in the year, you're down by about 5.5 games, and now all of a sudden you look at the Chicago Cubs, the manager I refer to as the trader, who used to be here, and they're 6 games back of Milwaukee. How much do you kind of look and see where they're at versus where you guys are?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely we know what the standings are, and but again, that's not why we're playing. We're taking this thing one day at a time. We're just trying to win today. But yeah, we know what's at stake. We know that we're in first place, and we've got ourselves a decent lead, and we want to keep that lead. And for us to do that, we gotta take this thing one day at a time and just execute and win tonight, no matter who we're playing. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely some knowledge. We're not just completely ignoring the fact that we're in first place or first in the NL. So I think it's just a level of excitement. Like, hey, we can do something really special here. We have a chance to, really make a run here. But again, let's focus on today. Let's stay present, and let's win today.
5 game set coming up against those Cubs starting next Monday with a doubleheader. So it's 5 games in 4 days, and probably a series. I'm not going to go as far as say it's going to decide the division, but it might decide the division depending on how that all plays out. What's it like for you as far as playing at American Family Field in that series against the Cubs versus playing down at Wrigley against the Cubs?
I mean, I feel like we've actually done a pretty good job of playing on the road this year. We don't necessarily feel too much pressure on the road. When we're on the road, it's almost like, the home team has more to lose than we do. So, yeah, I have a feeling Wrigley's going to be rocking those few days, and it's going to be fun. I think a lot of us are looking forward to it, but we're just trying to take this thing one day at a time.
He is Isaac Collins, the hero from yesterday, the walk-off homer for the Brewers outfielder. Follow him on Twitter at Isaac Collins10. I've only got a couple minutes left. I want to get to know Isaac Collins a little bit more. I feel like we don't all know you as much as we should probably all know you. Favorite sport to do outside of baseball?
Favorite sport to do outside of baseball? I mean, I enjoy golfing, but I'm a huge football fan. I love football. I love college football. I love NFL football. My dad was a collegiate football player at West Virginia, so West Virginia was my squad growing up, and with Charlie Green, our bullpen coach, his son was the recent quarterback at West Virginia, so we have a little connection there, and yeah, I love football.
So who's your NFL squad then?
My NFL squad's Pittsburgh, actually. All my families are out in West Virginia, so they're all Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And as a kid, I was a Mountaineer fan and a Steelers fan. So big year for us with Aaron Rodgers and all that. So yeah, I'm we're a few weeks away from football season, so I'm really excited.
What about music?
Music, I mean, I like a lot of different genres of music. If I had to choose one, I enjoy hip hop, rap, but I'll dabble in some alternative rock or house music or country music.
Wow.
But Drake is probably my favorite artist.
Drake. You don't say that around here with Drake. Drake and us Milwaukee fans, we're not friends. That's not a thing with being Bucks around all that. So not really a thing for Bucks fans and Drake. That's definitely, no, that's not the right answer. That's all right, though. We still like you either way. All right, so I got one last thing for you, and we go back to the clubhouse. Pitchers have the pitching coach. They got the bullpen coach. You hitters have like 3 hitting coaches. So talk about that dynamic between the hitter and then all of these guys that are helping you out.
Yeah, I mean, we have a great hitting staff with Dawson, Buffy, and ET. They each bring their own little, set of skills to the table. And, some guys work with certain coaches. I enjoy working with all 3. But yeah, I mean, it's a committee, essentially. Like, they each have their own opinions and ideas of things, and, we can hear from each guy, and, they're always willing to help. That's the biggest thing. Like, they're willing to throw BP whenever we need it. They're willing to try out new things when we need it. And obviously it's led to a lot of success. We've been swinging the bat, really well lately. And, have to give them a lot of credit as well.
Here's Isaac Collins, Brewers outfielder, looking to win Rookie of the Year. Follow him on Twitter at IsaacCollins10. Thanks so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Sparky. Thank you.
You bet you. Take care. There is Isaac Collins, Brewers outfielder, joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, right here on the Fan. I will simply say this. I've been kind of in this state of just laughing when stuff happens with the Milwaukee Brewers. Like, it just doesn't stop. I mean, over the weekend, Lindor misses a ball that he hits like every time. Ball gets hit to third base. That dude misses a ball. Now, again, last night I recorded both baseball shows on ESPN on NMLB Network last night because I just wanted to see what they were going to say. And the ESPN show went after Alonso for missing that ball down the right field line. I thought that was a little harsh. I mean, he made 2 great plays earlier in the game. I don't think that was a routine play by any stretch of the imagination to say the Brewers got lucky on that play. But you are seeing things kind of break the Brewers' way in some of these games. But you know what? They're taking advantage of it too, right? You're not going to get the breaks if you're not making contact consistently to put pressure on the defense to have to make those plays. If you're striking out all the time and not making good contact, you don't get put in those situations. So while I will admit to you that there has probably been some luck involved, I think there is for every baseball team that wants to win a World Series or a championship at the end of the day. But the really good teams or great teams take advantage of the other team mistakes and score those runs and don't let them off the hook at the end of the day, Charlie. And I think that's what the Brewers have been doing along the way here for the last couple months.
That's the key to beating teams. That's the key to what the Milwaukee Brewers have done all season, is taking advantage of those mistakes. Good baseball teams will make mistakes, and it ruins momentum because they don't usually make those mistakes. So if you can make them cause more mistakes, if you can capitalize on the ones that they've already made, it's going to get into the headspace of teams that are usually more mature than what we saw of the New York Mets this past weekend. That's the other thing, too, is because Friday we talked about this Mets series, and I said this is going to be like the Cubs series where they're going to probably bust out and get a bunch of runs. And then the Priester game happens, and you're like, okay, well, here we go. This is going to be the game where they're going to give up a bunch of runs, and they're not going to be able to keep up. But yet again, they claw, they scratch, they stay in it, and DL Hall comes in and gives them, 3 innings, whatever it was, when he came into the backside of that game and settled things down to get Priester out of there, and you still figure out a way to win a game. Then on top of all of that, Joey Ortiz all of a sudden has become unconscious for the last week and a half, 2 weeks at this point, to where even at home he's getting big hits, Charlie. And that was a guy, and rightfully so, has been on the bottom of the lineup. Everybody's been talking about, dude, why are we playing this dude? And obviously the reason was defense, but now his offense is going too, like it was early on last year before he got hurt. Well, and it's not really all of a sudden, if we're being honest. If you've watched this Brewers team for the past 4 months, Joey Ortiz has had these 1 week stretches of just looking like a phenomenal player over and over again.
It is normally on the road. Yeah.
His home splits were atrocious as we looked at last week, that compared to away, it's not the same. But at the same time, this is what I think we started to expect from the players in the second half of this lineup for this Brewers team, from the Caleb Durbins, from the Joey Ortizes, from all these guys that are just going out there trying to prove that they can keep that spot. They have these week-long stretches of just being important players for this team, and that's exactly what you need from a team that is a World Series hopeful at one point here.
The other thing you need is the guys that you are paying money to, or guys that you look at and say, you're middle of the order guy, you got to go show me some power, driving some runs. This dude's been playing with a jacked up finger, but he's coming around.
Down the right field line, got some barrel on it. That's deep. It is up and fair and out. Contreras is smoking hot right now. His second home run of the game. His third homer in his last 4 at-bats. 6-5 Mets.
He had 2 home runs yesterday. He had the home run, what was it, Saturday night, right, to win it. And after that game, Contreras was like, this brought me full circle back to remembering who I am and kind of what I got to get back to doing, was that thing. God help you, Major League Baseball, if this dude catches fire now the rest of the way out. If this dude all of a sudden finds his power stroke, and hits 3 or 4 more home runs this month and hits 5 or 6 next month, and it's feeling good going into the postseason, this offense is going to get going, Charlie.
I think he's jealous of Bryce Terang finding his power stroke.
Yeah, that's another one.
That's another guy in the middle of this lineup that's just been able to help out no matter where they move him around in it. And I think that's extremely important that a guy like Contreras is going, that a guy like Bryce Terang is going, because then it gets the Joey Ortizes going. It gets the Isaac Collins going. That's what you need, is those leaders in the clubhouse to start feeling that energy too, and everybody else will just exponentially grow because of that.
Here's another one for you. This comes from Brew Crew Scoop on Twitter, right? We always talk about get 2 or 3 guys going, and that can get your offense going. They got more than 2 or 3. Christian Yelich, since May 22nd, 62 games, hitting .311, .383 on base, .523 slugging, 14 homers, 48 RBIs, 73 strikeouts to 25 walks. Okay?
Pretty good.
Jackson Churia, who's out hurt, but still, since May 31st, 49 games, .317, .358 on base, .543 slugging, 9 homers, 38 RBIs to go along with that. Bryce Terang, since June 17th, 42 games, .298, .335 on base, .484 slugging, 6 homers, 28 RBIs. Caleb Durbin, since June 19th, 40 games, .312, .380 on base, .432 slugging. I mean, he's small. What are you expecting? But 3 homers, 16 RBIs. Joey Ortiz since June 19th. Now remember, his overall numbers are like 210, 215, whatever. He's hitting .277, .311 on base, .433 slugging, 5 homers, 29 RBIs. Andrew Vaughn since July 7th, 25 games, .348, .412 on base, .629 slugging, 7 homers, 28 RBIs. White Sox fans puking hearing those numbers, puking.
That's absolutely disgusting.
William Contreras since July 28th, 12 games, .354, .446 on base, .771 slugging, 6 homers and 10 RBIs. They're all going at the same time right now. And we talked about the Cubs and their softball offense and so forth. And they were a softball type offense at the beginning of the year. They were putting up runs on everybody. I was like, man, that's gonna be a problem going forward. But they dried up. Their pitching can't stay healthy. And those that have been healthy have been having problems, starters and relievers at this point. And they can't figure out how to get out of their own way at this point. I mean, and again, when things are going right, you get breaks, right? When things are going wrong, you don't get any breaks, and it goes against you. There was a play last night at the end of that game at second base. That was close. But they called him out on the field. They went to look at it. I think you could have argued he was safe. But because it was close, they said, nope, we're sticking with the out call. Then they get runners on first and third after that and can't get the guy in, and the Cardinals end up beating them and winning that series. And now all of a sudden, the Cubs are 6 games back. Folks, we got 1 week from today starts that Cubs series. Are you telling me there's a chance the Cubs might be 7 or 8 or more games out of first place? Don't they got the Blue Jays?
Yep.
And the Brewers got the Pirates. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, by the time we get to Thursday, this thing might be at 7 or 8, Charlie.
Probably. I think we could see a very realistic world where that's the case. And when you watch this Cubs team, too, I think one of the biggest problems that the Brewers had when Craig Counsell was the manager there, too, is where he's sitting a Pete Crow Armstrong in a clutch moment in the game for a 45-year-old Justin Turner. I get it, though. You don't want the lefty-on-lefty matchup, but you have to start giving some of these guys an opportunity even when you're not as confident in them. You have to pull a Pat Murphy and just go on the vibes of the situation sometimes. Sometimes it makes sense to leave your star player out out there in a clutch moment, even if the matchup doesn't always say it's the right matchup. I think sometimes when a manager overcomplicates a situation, he loses the trust of a team. And right now, Pat Murphy does anything but overcomplicate things, and the team is all in for him.
Late in that game yesterday, he leaves Lockridge in there over bringing in Christian Yelich.
Yep.
And everybody's like, what are we doing, man? But he knew he had the top of the lineup coming up there in the ninth, so he was going to have himself in a good situation if it didn't work out at the end of the day. So just an amazing, amazing run by the Milwaukee Brewers. And with that amazing run comes a lot of accolades as well, and people actually talking about you to go along with it. How about Albert Pujols? Albert Pujols is a guy that played for that crappy Cardinals team. By the way, I was thinking about this too. Don't throw stuff at me when you see me in public after I say this. But you remember back in the day with La Russa Matheny managing that team, and it was the Cardinals way, and we do things the right way, and we develop, and we sign, and we never miss, and it's just winning division after division in the playoffs every year. Do we have a Brewers way now? I mean, for the last decade, I mean, is it now the Brewers are the model franchise and have been the model franchise here in the NL Central? I mean, 2016 was the last time a Central team was in the World Series. That was the Cubs. But if you go from there forward, I'm pretty sure you could say the Brewers have been, arguably the best and most consistent team in this division.
I think in the NL Central, yes, they have the clear direction compared to these other teams. In the National League, no. I think you have to go and win a World Series, at least make it to a World Series to be that type of...
And the Cardinals won multiple.
Exactly, so that helps them out a little bit, but also they had an Albert Pujols, like we're just about to hear from him. He's one of the greatest players of all time. If Jackson Chourio can be that good, if Jesus Made can be that good, if Luis Pena can be that good, maybe the Brewers are starting to get to that point here.
Albert Pujols on MLB Network on MLB Tonight.
Are we looking at the best team in the National League?
I think so. I think
there you go.
Where they are right now, that's why they have the best record, And I know the Dodgers out there, when they get their guys healthy, they can go out there with the Brewers. But the Brewers are going to be a tough team in the playoff, And I think, you can talk about the pitching and the bullpen, but what I love is their position player, Pat Murphy's done a great job. These guys just give quality at bat day in, day out. They don't strike out. They play great defense. And, it takes me back to my Cardinals year. That's how Tony La Russa teach us in spring training how to win, how to go about it. And it's not the best talented team. I don't want to disrespect them, but when you see the Dodgers, you see all the names. But when you see the Brewers, you don't see all those names. But it doesn't take the name. When you cross that line, whoever wins is whoever do the little things, and that's what the Milwaukee Brewers.
You say yes, the Brewers are the best team in the National League.
Right now with that pitching, I take them.
You dang right you take them. I mean, my God, they're up by 4 games on the next best team in Major League Baseball right now. I think you have to say they're the best team in baseball as we currently sit. Now, again, I told you, after that Brewers game yesterday, I watched the ESPN baseball show, and then I watched the MLB Network show. The ESPN baseball show, I don't know who the heck the dude was. They didn't have the name graphic under him, so I don't know who the hell I was watching. But whoever it was, I'm assuming it was a former player, he just wasn't getting on board with the Brewers at all, was not having it. It was just like, hey, are they just a really good regular season team? Because do they really have what it takes to win in the postseason and the playoffs? They keep getting knocked out every year. And he said, you got to have a front 3. I'm thinking to myself, check. You have to have a back 3. Yeah, that's check. And then the third thing he said was, and you have to have a bunch of, superstar power hitter type hitters in the middle of that lineup to score runs for you. They don't necessarily have that. But Vaughn is hitting the ball like a superstar. If Contreras keeps this up, that's going to be another dude. Chourio, Yelich, you can argue 4 dudes if Vaughn is still playing well at that point. Now, Vaughn may, regress and go back to being Andrew Vaughn. But right now, you can definitely say that. And you haven't even brought back Rhys Hoskins yet. And there's some power there. If Rhys Hoskins is coming off the bench to pinch hit, he can change the game. And guess what else about Rhys Hoskins, Charlie? He's clutch. Ask a Phillies fan. He's clutch.
He's perfect for that situation. To be a playoff pinch hitter, to be on the roster for that, I'd be happy with that. If I'm Rhys Hoskins, yes, that's maybe not the best situation, but if it helps this team get farther than they ever have in the past, then you do it.
Nikolai Love Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Trell on the north side, you're next. What's up, Trell?
Hey, what's going on, Sparky?
You tell me.
Hey, I love this team. I love what they're doing, but I got to agree with the guy from you were just talking about, Sparky. I don't think the Brewers can have a way until they actually win a World Series. That's just the way it goes about these things. And this is something that's been kind of in my craw for a while because I get into it with Cubs fans. I grew up with a lot of Chicago fans, and I've been into it with Cubs fans the last, probably since we had that run with Braun and Fielder, and they won that World Series in, 16? And that's all they talk
16,
about.
Yep.
That's all they talk about. They just put that in my face, and I'm just so sick of them putting that World Series to 2016 and how the Brewers have never won a World Series. I got to hear this all the time. I'm sick of hearing it, and I'm nervous. I am. I'm loving what I'm seeing, but I think the pressure, maybe the players don't feel it, but as a fan, I feel pressure because I'm like, man, this is going too good, and I got to wait till October just to see if this is actually going to be real or not. And the Brewers have a making of a team that can do it. And, of course, we nitpicked this team during the trade deadline and said what we could have did and who we could have added. But the fact of the matter is we didn't do much, and we got who we got right now. So
Trell,
I'm hoping we can cash in this time. I really do. But
Trell, you keep saying you're nervous, whatever else. Did you watch the end of the game and a few seconds after the game yesterday? Did you keep it on or did you turn it off after Collins won it?
I watched it. I watched the call.
All
and
right.
I watched how they were talking about Bob Uecker.
Right. That's my point. Hold on. Let me play this. Hold on.
I cannot believe what I am watching here with this Milwaukee Brewers team.
Are you kidding me? Isaac Collins walks it off against a guy that hasn't given up an earned run since June 6th, BA. Hits a bomb to end it, and the Brewers sweep the Mets. I'm telling you, something magical is happening right here in Milwaukee with this Milwaukee Brewers team.
I'm going to call it Euchre magic for now. Looking down from above.
That's all you got to know, man. There ain't no reason to be worried or nothing like that.
Sparky,
It's
no,
Euchre
Sparky,
magic,
no.
man.
No, Sparky. Listen, I am enjoying this. I am overly excited. But that's what brings me to the point where I can see myself in 2 months, Sparky, looking with bite my nails like, oh my God, it's a 1-1 series with.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I can see myself right now in 2 months because the pressure has got to some point that we can't be let down.
I got another one for you, Trell. You remember Joe Zanzola, Radio Joe, back in the day, back on the Fan?
Absolutely.
He tweeted out yesterday, nobody made a deal with the devil. Euchre made a deal with God.
Oh.
Hey.
If Euchre is doing this, man, I swear I love you, Bobby. I love you,
That's
baby.
right. We're in. Thanks for the call, Trell. Take care. I'm just saying, like, these type of things, man. We talked about it, a couple weeks ago about this feels like there's some Euchre stuff going on or whatever the case may be. Believe it, don't believe it, whatever, but this has been some crazy run. I mean, they're on pace for like 101, 102, something like that wins. They've never had a 100-win season in the history of this organization. Again, it doesn't mean that they're going to go to win a World Series or go to the World Series. But you're talking about a possible strike or a lockout coming up at the end of the 26th season. If one of the smallest markets in baseball win the World Series, it's really going to screw things up for the owners a little bit, I think, Charlie.
I think so, too. I think if the Brewers go out there and are able to make magic happen, basically, at this point, is what it is. This is all just magic. It will just change the whole discussion around all of this. Honestly, I think there's maybe a world where it might help the owners out a little bit too. If Mark Attanasio can go out there and win a World Series with this team that he hasn't put a lot of money in, that he's done the Brewers way like we're talking about, that's going to be a perfect debate for the owners to bring to the players and say, you know what? Yes, you guys deserve maybe a little bit more money. Maybe there is some kind of floor that we put into place, but there sure as hell ain't going to be a cap now. If you can see this and see that this team can go out there and beat the Dodgers, go out there and beat the Mets like they're doing, go out there and beat the Cubs, then why do we need a cap space?
That's exactly right. He's Charlie Hughes and C. Sparky Fifer with you. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Time for your fan weather forecast. 82 degrees, partly cloudy. That's right. There's no smoke there. However, we have river flood warning until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Just horrible flooding Saturday night into Sunday. just neighborhoods. Like, you drive up and down neighborhoods and you see people's entire basements out on their front lawn waiting to be picked up, dumpsters in people's driveways of people, filling up with all the stuff that they lost. And like my sitter, who I take the kids over to, all of her Christmas stuff, and she likes Christmas like me. They've got to have 7 or 8 trees. They got all their stuff out on their porch, all their Christmas stuff ruined from that. So the thoughts, prayers, and you guys will get through it and we'll get back to normal. But that was pretty bad. Low of 70 degrees tonight.
Ortiz a bouncer, and it's by Alonso. Here comes Terang, and we are tied. Joey O delivers in the clutch again.
It is amazing the run the Brewers are on right now. 9 straight victories after sweeping the Mets and David Stearns. Wow. Highlight courtesy of FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin. See Sparky Fifer with you. Other side of the glass, he is Charlie Hughes. And Mike Wall, former Packer offensive lineman, he's going to join us coming up here in just a few minutes, and we'll talk about the Packers preseason game from over the weekend. We'll hear from Matt LaFleur at 3 o'clock. Back to the Brewers with John Heyman, MLB Network Insider. Do you know what I've really enjoyed?
What's that?
All the national dudes outside of maybe Rosenthal, but Heyman and Nightingale just loving on the Brewers for the last couple of weeks. Loving on them.
It's a lot of fun when, I don't know if any of you experience this either, but when a national guy calls the Brewers the crew, like, it just feels good. Like, it feels like that they're actually in on the team.
This is the thing. Y'all may not know. John Heyman used to live in Milwaukee, y'all. He was living here. That's how I got to know John. He used to do another radio show I was on. So he used to live here. He's married to a lady that worked at a TV station locally here. So he has roots here in Milwaukee. All you people that get all mad at Heyman. Dude, this is yeah, this is real here. I guarantee you his wife is losing her mind over what all is going on with the Brewers. So that's real. And Nightingale dropping all these nuggets too, right? We have Nightingale on all the time. Honestly, MLB Insider dropping the nugget on back-to-back Manager of the Year awards has happened once in the National League. That was Bobby Cox and the Atlanta Braves. Funny enough, another organization that had great pitching and the hitting never showed up in the postseason and they never could finish and win a World Series till much later in the game here, kind of like where the Brewers have been, Charlie.
What's different, or what feels different about this Brewers team, in my opinion, is that the offense feels so much more spread out. So yes, you're not getting the crazy offensive numbers every single night, but now you're starting to see different guys like the Joy Ortizes have their week of just phenomenal play. Yep. You're starting to see the Isaac Collins have a month of phenomenal play. And yeah, that may not keep going to the offseason or the postseason, but at the same time, that's when you hope a Christian Yelich can start getting hot, because we've seen that so far this season where the other guys start getting cold. You see 3 other guys start getting hot. This feels like no matter what, somebody is picking up the slack for somebody else, and that gives me a little bit more hope when it comes to the playoffs.
No doubt about it. Coming up, we're going to talk with Mike Wall, former Packers offensive lineman, about the Packers preseason game from on Saturday night. Did you hear about Saturday night? I don't know if we have that audio or not. Let me see. We may not have the audio. I saved it. If we don't have it, I'll find it. There was the Mets. It was on Awful Announcing's social media. The Mets announcers were talking during the Brewers game last night about the experience that the Jets announcers had after their game against the Packers. The Packers didn't have a great night. Okay, fine. We agree. The Jets announcers had a worse night. I'll play you that sound coming up on the other side. Charlie, grab that for you. We'll play it back. Hey, Potawatomi Sportsbook, they're doing something very cool the rest of the year. They got Brewers game day shuttles. They start a series tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, they changed the rotation, the Brewers did. So Peralta, who was supposed to go tonight, is now going tomorrow. Quintana is now going tonight. To which I say, I'm very happy about that. Why? Because I'm going tomorrow night. Cub Scout night, kids in the Cub Scouts. So we're going tonight. Skeens versus Peralta. It's going to be a good time. But Brewers game day shuttles. Hitch a ride to all home games, courtesy of Potawatomi. Secure your seat with any purchase in the sportsbook or same-day sports bet. Seating is limited and on a first-come, first-served basis. They start 1 hour before the game. They end 1 hour after the game. So go to the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Secure your spot on one of their shuttles. Go to the game. That way you don't got to pay $25, $30 in the parking lot. You get it for free right there at the Potawatomi Hotel Casino parking garage. Walk in through the skywalk on that 4th level, and you're all set and ready to go. Again, take advantage of the game day shuttles at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Up next, Mike Wall, former Packers offensive lineman. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
Clifford. Johnson. Nice block in there. Thrown by Butler. Catch. He'll drive. He'll get another block from the quarterback. He'll take it in. That is a Green Bay touchdown. What a play with the quarterback Clifford leading the way.
I mean, saying that he really blocked anybody, I think was a stretch myself. I mean, he kind of touched somebody, Clifford. He got to maybe help get in the way a little bit. I don't know. I mean, Harlan was being really nice there on that call on Channel 4.
That's better than most quarterbacks.
That's true, yeah.
That's better than most quarterbacks.
Yes,
we'll take it.
It was a nice run by Armand Johnson. It doesn't matter, though. It's like the only highlight of the game for the Packers as they lose to the Jets over the weekend. Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, and you can see his pretty bald head right there on YouTube as we're streaming this baby live with the Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. You can watch our guy Mike Wall, former Packers offensive lineman. Follow him on Twitter at MikeWall68. Mike, thanks for coming on, man. How are you?
I've been great, Sparky. How you doing?
Doing good. So obviously, you're on social media. You deal with Packer fans. I'm sure you saw the gigantic overreaction to what that game was, especially with the offense. I mean, you got Reed in a walking boot. Wicks wasn't really out there. Dobbs, obviously, with a couple of drops. I get that. I mean, was there supposed to be some type of big reaction to preseason game one with the starters playing?
Well, we're supposed to have a pretty good offense, and these guys have been around together. The majority of those guys have been around together for a couple of years now, so you think you're going to perform a little bit better. What usually happens in these situations, and it happened here, is the defenses early in the offseason are just a little bit more physical than the offenses. And I think the Jets certainly were, particularly up front. I think up front, we had some good performances, certainly, if you look at the totality of the game, but there were more than a couple of plays, particularly in the first two series, that the defense got the better of us. That's something you don't want to see, but like you said, man, it's first preseason game. I mean, the biggest question going into this is whether or not they were going to play at all. So it's like we had this big build up for drama for not too much output.
Okay, so from an offensive lineman perspective, Mike, I mean, training camp practices, watching the beat writers tweet about it and everything else, you're right. The defense has pretty much been winning throughout training camp, and it appears it's that way across a majority of the league. But from my perspective, it's all about Jordan Morgan, right, at left tackle in this competition with Rasheed Walker, who's dinged up and hurt. And then the other guy that everybody's watching on defense, because the Packers pretty much told us this is how we're going to get better on defense, is Lucas Van Ness and the job he's doing. How closely should we be watching this? Or do we get in a position of where we're overanalyzing things? Because like today, Lucas Van Ness had a big day, like best day of camp he's had to this point by far.
Which is great. I mean, the fact that we have access to all this stuff is fantastic from a fan perspective. But if you're a player, you're sitting there like, are you really going to judge me play? Are we going to have to go and watch social media play by play, snap by snap? It's a difficult world to live in. I know it's the world that they signed up for, right? But Jordan Morgan's a prospect, and both these, you're talking about two guys who are really good football players, but unfortunately for them, got drafted in a position where they're expected to contribute right away, and they weren't able to do that at the level that is expected of them, right? So they're just all of this is a consequence of where they were drafted, not necessarily the quality of player that they're going to become. Jordan Morgan looked good in that game. I thought he looked like he fit with. He certainly looks like the part on the field, and we'll have to see how that whole thing plays out. Obviously, he's going to get his chances because of the place he was drafted, and even though I think that Walker has more than earned his spot at the left tackle position. And then you look at Lucas Van Ness, and he was a project in college, and then he was a project, but he was also the 13th pick in the draft. And, my notes as I came away from that game were like, he's still a project. He's very blockable. He still doesn't have a lot of go-to moves. He gets to the top of his rush, and he ends up with a bull. I know he's a fantastic athlete, and with that effort, you can make some plays in this league. But again, it's like you're setting the bar at 13th pick in the draft, and, that's a high bar to get over.
I want to go back to Jordan Morgan, if you don't mind, and talk about that matchup against Rasheed Walker. When they came out and said, they being the Packers coaches and front office, that this was going to be a competition at left tackle, I rolled my eyes and said, no, it's not. Rasheed Walker has that job. But he is in the last year of his deal. If they don't want to pay Rasheed Walker, then this really is about finding out whether or not Jordan Morgan can be the left tackle of the future to replace him after this year. Do you foresee it as a real battle, or Rasheed Walker just that far and away better that this better not be a competition per se?
Well, if we're just basing it on what we saw last year, I think that just from who's ready to play and contribute right away, it's got to be Rasheed Walker. I don't think there's any dispute on that. Now, obviously, we talked about where Morgan was drafted, and again, we're all hoping for the best there. The reality is that if Rasheed Walker goes in the free agent market next year, he's probably looking at like, I don't even want to put a number out there, but it's probably high teens, and that might not be what the Packers want to pay him. So this is if you're a Goody and you get some great years out of Rasheed Walker, you draft and develop, he goes off and signs a big contract for somebody else, and you bring in Jordan Morgan. Now he's your starting left tackle. That was a great first round pick, Goody. Way to go! You look really smart. And so I think that's kind of the way these guys are. I have to assume that's how they're thinking about it. I was surprised. We've talked about the Aaron Banks bringing him in, although Elton Jenkins is probably your second best lineman, and that's kind of weird. Blah 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 blah. But where does Jordan Morgan fit because of that? But look, if they get quality reps out of him now in the preseason, whether or not he starts or not, if he goes in just as the swing guy, really at every position, you're looking at a really really valuable piece of the offense. A sixth lineman who's going to play a lot of reps because somebody's going to get hurt. And then it turns into something a lot better than that if you don't have to pay Rasheed Walker $18, $19 million next year. And I hope he gets it. But, you give him his blessing and then go on your way. We got Jordan Morgan. Perfect opportunity. And Goody will look great. Goody will look like a genius.
Mike Wall, former Packers offensive lineman. Follow him on Twitter at MikeWall68. Watch him and me right now on YouTube. The Fan Milwaukee on YouTube live streaming. Catch our shorts, videos, all that fun stuff on YouTube now, or stream us on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Let's talk about defense. They left something to be desired there defensively. Coming in to this last offseason, it was the same old rhetoric, which is we want to be able to get home with our front four. We want to be able to get there without having to bring a bunch of blitzes and so forth. And they were towards the bottom in the NFL last year, I think second to last in blitz percentage at like 17%. But they really didn't do anything to address the defense line outside of draft a couple guys in the mid to late rounds. So how does that group become better?
I think... it's such a great question because that was the number one need in the offseason, at least in my book, was can we get a bona fide pass rusher, or does Rashaan Evans kind of reach that form that he had or even ascend past that form that he had before he got injured? And it looks like the Packers are really banking on the new D-line coach to do a lot of that work. Coaching is so big in particular positions in the National Football League. And I think defensive line or pass rush specialists could be one of those. But it is a real question mark right now coming off that first game of like, nothing's really changed. And, as you go across the line, I don't know that I thought that Kenny Clark, when he was coming into his early years in the Packers uniform, if they would have put him out as a penetrating three technique, he could have been an absolute monster. But it's clear that at this point, he plays the way he plays. And as that, kind of Quinnen Williams to take his counterpart on the Jets, like he's not that kind of guy. It's not his skill set. And we really don't have, Carl Brooks is going to develop into a situational pass rusher, and I think he's going to be good at it. But as far as an every down guy who could just get after the quarterback in an interior line, don't really have one. And then we also have to account for the fact that they drafted this guy 13, and right now he just doesn't look like he is going to have to be game planned against. And the big question this year really, is not Evans, but is Rashawn Gary going to become that player again that you game plan against? If Rashawn Gary becomes that game plan player, that changes what they can do on defense completely. But until they have that guy up front, I think they're going to have to continue to find these really kind of creative ways to get those linebackers home. It's
crazy. Like, we went back and we're looking at Rashawn Gary's numbers. You realize he's never had a double-digit sack year in his career? Ever?
He's just such, the thing about Rashawn Gary is I don't personally like the way he thinks about pass rush, but as far as a player, how he plays against the run, how much energy he brings, the things that he can do just from a pressure standpoint, he's a phenomenal player in the National Football League. He just doesn't quite have like whatever that last piece of the puzzle is to get home as much as he probably should, given his talent level.
What about this linebacking core? This is a piece that I think a lot of fans are excited about. A lot of fans are excited about the idea of Edgerrin Cooper taking a next step and becoming a Pro Bowl type player and so forth. Athletically, like he just he pops off the tape when you watch him. Quay Walker, it looked like prior to him getting hurt last year that maybe Hafley was starting to figure out how to use him a little bit more as far as attacking the ball carrier and getting after the quarterback with more blitzing. And then there's Isaiah Simmons, who they signed in the offseason, who has not worked out for anybody the way they wanted him to. Arizona drafts him in the top 10. That doesn't work out. And now he's had a couple other stops. Now here he is in Green Bay. He's excited they're going to use him in one way, not ask him to do 100 different things. But watching that first game, you didn't come away probably all that impressed watching Isaiah Simmons. But if they can figure that out, that could be a dynamic three linebacking core.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons just brings an absolute next level of athleticism to an already athletic linebacking core. There's always different reasons that things don't work out. Where you get drafted really matters for like 99% of the guys in the National Football League.
Yep.
And I'm not saying anything about Arizona, but they don't have a history of developing players maybe at the level that maybe Green Bay does, right? So this could be the stop that changes that. Certainly that first game, I know there's a couple highlights out there, and I watch it on film. Not necessarily comfortable with the defense yet, but let's give him some time. Certainly, an athlete like that, as long as he's got a great attitude, he deserves that time. We owe it to ourselves to give him that time. But I love Cooper. I think he's a special player. I just love his instincts. I thought he was a little bit undersized, and he might be. But it's like he makes up with it in every other way and facet and tangible and intangible asset that he has. The big question for me is Quay Walker. I'm a huge Isaiah McDuffie fan. Quay Walker, and you're right, they did kind of figure out how to get him going downhill. They sent him on a lot more run stunts early last year and the beginning and at the end of the year before. And it really just kind of triggered him, right? It just gave him that, let's put our blinders on. Let me be a read and react athlete. I don't have to overthink this. And when you're a young player, that's probably the best way to get really comfortable with the game, unless you're just one of those rare guys like an Edgerrin Cooper who's just so instinctual. Give me one assignment. Let me be a read and react guy. Let me build my confidence. So if they figure that out, of course, he's going to take some steps from a maturation standpoint as well. But if they figure that combination out, again, please don't forget Isaiah McDuffie. I think he's a really, really good football player. But I think that's a great room. I'm excited about it.
Talking with Mike Wall, former Packer offensive lineman. Follow him on Twitter at MikeWall68. Joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Fan. Sparky with you. McCole Hardman is the guy they got in the offseason. To be honest with you, I think a lot of people are like, okay, that's nice. Nice veteran wide receiver in the room. Maybe he returns punts and kicks, and that's how he makes the roster. That was not exactly a great debut for McCole Hardman there in preseason game one. He catches the ball, I think it was inside the 5, and then he gets another one that bounces to him, and he can't catch that one cleanly either. Not a great start, but because he's a veteran, I think you probably look past it and know what he's capable of.
Yeah, but every year you got to prove yourself over in the National Football League. That's a talented room. And the big thing last year coming out of the wide receiver room in general is you've got a lot of guys that, because of the genius that is Matt LaFleur's play calling, sometimes you feel like these guys are almost put in these boxes of things that they're going to do in this offense. And, with Matthew Golden coming in, somebody that can probably do everything really, really well, they're going to hopefully they expand the playbook for every single wide receiver and give them an opportunity to kind of take Jordan Love's eyes away from certain players on certain plays and give him maybe a more of a full field read, right? So whether it's McCole Hardman or Matthew Golden, adding talent to that room is going to be fantastic because iron sharpens iron. And I think that's going to be a tough room to figure out at the end of training camp. But yeah, if you'd like to go as a vet, do I have any cachet or like grace period? Because I made a couple mistakes in my first preseason game here. And I guess the good news is, for him, nobody played well, right? So, maybe he's got some extra shots here, but he's probably going to have to prove himself a little bit more in the second and third preseason games.
The wide receiver drops. You didn't see it your first year with Jordan Love. You saw it last year. You saw it again on Saturday night. Romeo Dobbs with a couple, Malik Heath, Luke Musgrave. I mean, there were some guys that should not be dropping the ball that you may be, depending on Malik Heath may not make this team, but the other two guys are definitely going to be on this team. And if they have drop issues again this year, whether it be Reed, Wicks, Dobbs, or whatever, they're going to have to think long and hard as far as what they're going to do with that wide receiver room going forward if they have similar drop problems as last year, because Matthew Golden doesn't look like he drops anything.
Yeah, all the reports out are that Matthew Golden's like this. He's kind of a unicorn in the way he moves. His hands are fantastic. And it would be not unprecedented, but it'd be pretty rare where the rookie kind of sets the tone for the entire room and the way that we go about our business. And I don't necessarily think that's the case because I think they got a lot of great pros in that room. But, somebody's got to set the standard. And if it's him, so be it. Everybody's got to follow the rookie, then that's what it takes. It's surprising that particular problem is rearing its head again, not because these guys are literally named receivers, But, after you have a season like you did last year and everybody's kind of talking about the drops maybe more than the production, it's like you go back into the lab and really work that craft. You come back to training camp, you should look fantastic. So, you never know what's happening in between these moments. But I was surprised to see drops going in early here in the preseason.
He is Mike Wall, former Packers offensive lineman. He is great at what he does. Follow him on Twitter at MikeWall68. And as always, Mike Wall, I'll let you plug on the way out. What you got?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've been living over in Germany. I'm working with the Frankfurt Galaxy for the last actually almost a year now, Sparky. So when I watch football now, it's like the games start at 12:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. You got to be a real fan, baby. You got to be a real fan.
That is absolutely crazy. What's the goal? Is the goal to get back over here in the States and start coaching over here again?
No. I work with NFL guys in the States, and I have an absolutely fantastic time. I love what I do over there. I was really interested in, the expansion of football and, coming over here, Sparky, you really get the opportunity to, I've got certain things that I believe would really help as far as player development. And this is a really good laboratory for me to look at it.
That's awesome. Mike Wall, again, former Packers offensive lineman. Follow him on Twitter at MikeWall68. As always, appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you, I'm sure, again throughout the season.
Thank you.
Take care. There he is, Mike Wall. Again, follow him on Twitter at MikeWall68. On the FanGas Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Here's a sign to never skip breakfast again. Wendy's breakfast biscuits are just $1. Your choice of a buttermilk biscuit with grilled sausage or bacon with egg and melty cheese, or even the honey buddy with juicy chicken and maple honey butter. For just $1, you can't go wrong unless you forget to add the delicious seasoned potatoes or the warm, fluffy French toast sticks or even the ooey gooey Cinnabon. Come on, start your day the right way with Buck Biscuits at Wendy's. And don't look back. Limited time only. Coming up next, we'll hear from Matt LaFleur. John Heyman, MLB Network Insider, will join us coming up at 3:20. Charlie Sounds today at 3:40. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.